Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing my WWE Raw review for the 3rd of March 2014. Yes, you heard that right, I'm doing another Raw review yet again. Last week I did a Raw review, everybody was surprised because I haven't done a Raw review since December 2013. A week later I'm doing another Raw review for March the 3rd, 2014. This one's going to go for a while. As usual, they always go for around half an hour to 45 minutes, so sit tight, enjoy the video, like the video, comment your thoughts on Monday Night Raw, and of course, do subscribe to my channel for pretty much reviews of every single Monday Night Raw from now on. I did have a break from doing Raw reviews. It was a bit much. It's a bit hard to watch it all on Tuesday night and then do a review before I go to bed at 10, but I'm doing it now. I'm doing it tonight. Enjoy. Hopefully you do in fact enjoy this video, so let's get down to this Monday Night Raw review, which came from Chicago, Illinois, in the Allstate Arena. Now, there were rumors, there was even a Twitter account called @ChicagoRawCrowd, and they were actually planning doing a hijacking of Monday Night Raw. Now, ever since Daniel Bryan wasn't even entered into the Royal Rumble, he spent the last few months getting screwed out of championship matches. Batista won the Royal Rumble, Punk walked out, everything like that is all boiled up, and all fans have been hijacking shows. Example was at Elimination Chamber when the crowd pretty much took over the show and chanted anything the whole way through the night, but everybody thought tonight was the night that the Chicago crowd was going to take over Monday Night Raw. There was a Twitter account planning it. There was even rules of what they were going to do, like backturning on Batista, chanting "We want tables," only cheering Ziggler, The Shield, the Wyatt family, and Daniel Bryan. They were only going to chant them people. There were so many rules that they were coming up with to do when people came out booing Batista, booing Triple H, turning their backs, walking out. But really, it didn't really go that way. The Twitter account was there. There were so many things online of a hijacking. It just never happened. Let's be honest. I woke up this morning hoping for tweets and everything like that saying Raw was awesome. The crowd hijacked the show. Wow, best thing ever. And it really didn't happen. I've just finished watching it now. Hugely disappointing. Really, the only thing that happened the whole way through the night was CM Punk chants. And really, I did kind of predict that. I thought they all were there to see CM Punk. They bought them tickets to see CM Punk. They really weren't that bothered about Daniel Bryan in the end. They just wanted to see CM Punk. Now, I say that now, but really, I expected it would probably happen. And really, it didn't really happen. Really, nothing happened at all except CM Punk chants. A huge disappointment. We were counting on Chicago to voice their opinion. We're only around 5 to 4 weeks away from WrestleMania 30. The card's looking pretty slim. A lot of people aren't excited. Chicago was the place that we wanted our voice to be heard, and they were pretty much a huge disappointment, and really nothing happened whatsoever. But really, you've got to admit, WWE did book this show to kind of pander to their needs. They definitely always book good shows in Chicago. Every time Monday Night Raw or a pay-per-view is in Chicago, they always book some big, heavy cards. Example, tonight on Monday Night Raw. You can't tell me that they didn't book this so that the crowd would be happy, because if they didn't and they made lots of squash matches and pointless segments, the crowd would have absolutely shat on it. So you've got to admit that they did have an influence prior to the event. The booking of the event was certainly towards a really hostile crowd. It certainly was a very good, well-booked show, but really the actual show was a disappointment and it wasn't hijacked whatsoever. But the actual Monday Night Raw this week started, of course, you've got to see it, CM Punk's music hitting, the Chicago crowd going wild, and then as soon as he didn't come out for around 30 seconds, the crowd got quiet and realized, you know, it's not happening. You could see that they knew it wasn't going to happen. If CM Punk was going to come out, he would have come out straight away, like cheering his head off, everything like that. And half a minute went and nothing happened. The music was still playing, and then Paul Heyman walked out, and he got some absolutely major heat for doing that. Now, a lot of people were thinking that CM Punk was going to be there. A lot of people were reporting that CM Punk could be there. I mean, it was in Chicago. He had to be there. So a lot of people were anticipating he was going to be there. So when his music hit to start off Monday Night Raw, I was marking out, I mean, what are the ways you could have started this Monday Night Raw with the biggest issue in the WWE right now, CM Punk? So I was like, his music hit and I was like, oh my God. they've done it. That was the reason I tuned into Monday Night Raw this week, was to see what was going to happen with CM Punk. Were they even going to talk about CM Punk? Were they even going to realize that he's not been around for the last few weeks? And CM Punk's music hit. It was the first thing that happened on Monday Night Raw. What a great way to kick off Monday Night Raw. They could have done anything, and they kicked it off with the major issue of CM Punk. So when his music hit, the crowd went wild. It was a great moment. 30 seconds passed, they realized he wasn't coming out, and then Paul Heyman walked out to a lot of boos. He got a lot of heat, which is important for his character. They're facing Undertaker. They still need to build up Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar as some top heels against Taker, so that was important to get some heat for Paul Heyman. But really, a lot of that Chicago crowd did come to see CM Punk. So for them to take the piss and really hugely disappoint the Chicago crowd so early in the show, it took around 30 seconds and they were already majorly pissed off if they weren't pissed off before the start of the show. So for them to do that, I think that was made probably a very, very dick move for them to do. I mean, really, you can see the kind of comedic side of it, but really, to do that, a huge disappointment. Not really a great way to start Monday Night Raw. It went from a great way to really poor way. I thought, wow, they're doing it. CM Punk, the major issue is coming out, and then they do that, which I thought was a big dick move, but it definitely got a lot of heat for Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman got in the ring and sat down like CM Punk does with his legs crossed. An absolutely epic moment. He let the CM Punk chance go, and he did actually, for the first time since CM Punk walked out, or apparently walked out, he talked about CM Punk. He actually said what was happening with CM Punk. They haven't done this so far. If you didn't know about the internet or didn't even use the internet, really, you wouldn't really know CM Punk had walked out. They haven't really talked about it. You just know that he hasn't been on TV. But really, for him to talk about him and kind of hint about what was going on with CM Punk was an important thing for the fans, because they really don't know what's going on, and that's why they bought their tickets. So for them to actually talk about CM Punk was kind of pleasing, because it's the first time somebody's openly talked about CM Punk ever since he left. So for Paul Heyman, probably his best friend, talking about CM Punk was a good way for the Chicago fans to understand what was happening with CM Punk. And I mean, even if CM Punk wasn't on the show, at least he was mentioned. I mean, it's in Chicago. They bought their tickets to see CM Punk. If he wasn't mentioned, it would have been a huge kick in the teeth. But at least he was mentioned. For them to do it that way, maybe not the greatest idea, but it definitely gets a lot of heat for the creators and the writers, especially Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, who probably had an idea. I know Stephanie McMahon is on the creative team, so does get them a lot of heat and continues with the Authority storyline. But it was great that they actually mentioned him. I mean, a lot of people were going there just to see their guy, so at least they mentioned him. But Paul Heyman talked about his best friend and how he was the guy, and how a lot of people didn't think he was that guy, but he still was the guy, and he went out there day after day to prove he was the best in the world. But really, after they'd mentioned CM Punk and really gave the Chicago crowd what they deserved, being recognised as Chicago, as CM Punk's boy, that was it. He'd done that, and then he cleverly transitioned into Brock Lesnar and talked about how Brock Lesnar was going to defeat the streak, and how CM Punk, it had all been caused by The Undertaker. Undertaker had caused CM Punk to go off the rails to get rid of Paul Heyman, who practically helped him with the WWE Championship run, and that got him a lot of heat because he was talking down at CM Punk, etc, etc. And he said Taker caused all this downward spiral of their relationship breaking up and CM Punk going away and losing his mind. But that cleverly transitioned onto Brock Lesnar. You've talked about CM Punk, you've mentioned him, the Chicago crowd are happy, but you've got to talk about the upcoming feud and probably the match which is going to sell your Mania tickets. That was really why they got Paul Heyman out there. There wasn't really another guy in the back which could have been used to talk about CM Punk. So really, it was nice they incorporated CM Punk in this Taker and Brock Lesnar promo. But at the end of the day, it was all about Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. But it was nice they actually fitted it in there. But they quickly transitioned to Brock Lesnar and the Undertaker feud. Now, Paul Heyman talked for a slight bit, and then he brought out his best friend and the guy who's going to defeat the streak, Brock Lesnar. Now, this got a lot of heat because they know Chicago is CM Punk's boy, and, of course, CM Punk didn't defeat the streak at WrestleMania 30, so that got him a lot of heat, which is great, because he is, of course, a heel, and Brock Lesnar wanders out. Brock Lesnar walks out. I'm such a mark for Brock Lesnar. You know, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm Brock Lesnar's biggest fan. But he walks out, and of course, they talk and they build towards the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania 30. Now, Brock Lesnar isn't actually booked, yes, believe it or not. Brock Lesnar isn't booked on the next 2 Monday Night Raws. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, this is what's supposed to sell your Mania tickets, and this guy isn't even going to be there for the next 2 weeks to build up that match. So they needed to do something very long, very memorable, and very entertaining for you to remember Brock Lesnar for when he comes back in 2 weeks, so they can continue this build up for the match. If he was going to do something which isn't too memorable, when he comes back in 2 weeks, all will be forgotten. But when he comes back in 2 weeks, you've got to be thinking, wow, I remember that guy who did this. And next is what I'm talking about. He did something which was absolutely epic, which you're going to carry on remembering when he comes back in 2 weeks. They needed to do something big. They needed to do something memorable. They needed to do something exciting that you're going to think about when he comes back in 2 weeks. They need to keep that momentum alive and for him to go out on a bang. So, Brock Lesnar basically said he's going to defeat the streak. He's going to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30, which is all great. Really, was it a good idea to get Brock Lesnar on the mic when quite easily Paul Heyman could have done his work? I'm not really sure if that was a great choosing, really. What did it really add to the segment at all? But Brock Lesnar walks away up the ramp, and then Mark Henry comes out. Now, really, it would have been okay if they did this segment with Mark Henry a few weeks ago, but when Brock Lesnar broke Mark Henry's arm when he did the Kimura lock on Old School Raw in January, well, he went out for a fair bit, and then Big Show got in a feud with Brock Lesnar and they did that. But ever since Mark Henry came back, he never really talked about what happened with him and Brock Lesnar. Now, he hurt his arm. Whether he broke it or not is probably not what happened, but they really never addressed it. When he hurt Mark Henry's arm and Mark Henry returned a few weeks ago, they never addressed that Brock Lesnar was the guy that did that, and they never confronted it. They never talked about it again. Lesnar never faced Mark Henry again. So, for Mark Henry to come out, can people really remember Mark Henry getting his arm hurt by Brock Lesnar a few weeks ago? I mean, it would have been okay, but ever since Mark Henry came back, he doesn't have anything to do with Lesnar. It was all forgotten about. He hasn't done anything either. I mean, he had a slight feud with Dean Ambrose, but he really didn't do anything. So was Mark Henry that guy that should put over Brock Lesnar? Was he really that guy? I mean, not a lot of people really care about Mark Henry anymore. Since he returned a few weeks ago, he hasn't done anything. But really, at the end of it, he really doesn't have anything to do with Brock Lesnar because they never mentioned it ever since he came back, which Mark Henry was put out because of Brock Lesnar, but they really didn't talk about that when he came back. So really, I see why they did it, but they could have done it a lot better by actually mentioning it when he originally came back. But really, Mark Henry was then beaten up by Brock Lesnar. He was put through the steel steps. Well, not put through the steel steps, chucked into the steel steps. Brock Lesnar chucked things around. He even chucked a monitor at somebody accidentally in the crowd. You could hear the crowd gasp. There were reports on Twitter and on the WWE dirt sheets that somebody was actually hit by a monitor, and you could actually hear the gasp. You couldn't see it, but you could hear the gasp by the crowd. Go back and watch that because that was quite funny. I did notice it. But then what ended was Mark Henry got put through the announce table. What a freaking great way to end Brock Lesnar's slight run in the WWE. So he's going to go away for 2 weeks on the backbone of putting through the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, F5ing him through a table. What a memorable, what a great way to put somebody over. So he's going to come back in 2 weeks with all that momentum of putting somebody through an announce table. They could have just made Mark Henry walk off and say, "I'm waiting, Undertaker," but what they did was epic. They made something that you're going to remember for when he comes back in 2 weeks. Great way, loved it. Very good way to kick off Monday Night Raw with CM Punk's music, them addressing CM Punk for the first time in Chicago. Paul Heyman, another great way to start Monday Night Raw. The Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. A lot of people will watch Monday Night Raw to see Brock Lesnar. He ended Monday Night Raw with Taker last week, so for him to start Monday Night Raw is great this week. A big name kicking off your Monday Night Raw. A lot of people don't want to watch till the end to see somebody like a Brock Lesnar. They want to see him straight away. So for him to kick off Monday Night Raw with a great segment is absolutely fantastic. And then for him to put Mark Henry through an announce table is another great moment. Such a good moment to start Monday Night Raw. Think it was pretty good, except for at the start when they kind of took the piss and kind of harshly took the piss out of CM Punk fans by doing that. Apart from that, a very, very good segment. I'll give it an 8 out of 10, yes, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I'll be very, very harsh. It could have been a 9 out of 10 easily. Now, the Usos defeated the New Age Outlaws, yes, to become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. Quite a lot of negatives about this match I've got to talk about first things first. Now, when the Usos were defeated by the New Age Outlaws at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I thought that was the correct decision. Now, I don't think how they won was the great decision. It was a roll-up pin, but still a slight kind of convincing victory. It wasn't a disqualification or anything like that. It was a convincing victory for the New Age Outlaws. But at the time, Elimination Chamber, a week and a day ago, I thought the match hadn't really been built that well. It just didn't seem like the time the Usos would snap and become the tag team champions. It didn't really feel like it had been built as a tag team championship match, or especially where the titles would change. It just didn't feel like it clicked for me. Didn't feel that like a special feud. So I wasn't surprised at all when the New Age Outlaws retained at Elimination Chamber. So the day after at Monday Night Raw last week, the Usos uncleanly defeated the New Age Outlaws. Now, it was in the middle of the ring, but they only won due to a distraction whilst the New Age Outlaws were doing their promo. So it was an opportunity to give the New Age Outlaws a clean victory, but it wasn't a clean victory. They didn't give him a clean victory last week on Monday Night Raw, which I did say was a bit of a disappointment. But this week on Monday Night Raw, yet again, they do a tag team championship match between the Usos and the New Age Outlaws. And this was a very, very predictable match. Why would they put this match yet again for the Usos to lose? Why would they pointlessly give the Usos a loss when they really have a lot of momentum at the moment and are possibly the most over tag team in the WWE right now? Why would they book them in this pointless match to lose when it could really halt their push? So, of course, it was a very easy, predictable match to predict. I knew the Usos were winning. That's probably why they made this match quite short. Now, the match itself was very, very short. It only went for around 5 minutes. Now, it's a tag team titles match. You know, it's supposed to be a top title. It's supposed to be one of the biggest titles in the WWE. Arguably, the second biggest title in the WWE behind the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So, when you have a title change, you want to have a memorable. You want to have a long. Something that feels like a war. Something which feels like a top match. Something that's long. Something that actually means something. So, for it to only go for 5 minutes was slightly a big disappointment. Now, they probably did this because in its own right, it was a very easy, predictable match. So, not a lot of people want to sit for a match where they know the outcome. That's probably why they did a very short match here. But really, this match was a lot more entertaining than their Elimination Chamber match. I thought the Chamber match, well, not the Chamber match, but the Chamber pay-per-view was quite a disappointing match. It really had no pacing in it whatsoever. And I do think that match ended quite early. It did seem like it was getting going at one point during the pay-per-view match, and then it really never hit off. But in this match, it was very, very good from the get-go. Very fast-paced, and really, the Usos were the only they were the only guys that got any offense. I don't remember the New Age Outlaws really getting any offense whatsoever, which really puts over the Usos very, very well. They finally accomplished the New Age Outlaws. They finally found the way to defeat the Outlaws. They really countered anything the New Age Outlaws threw at them, and that puts them over very, very well. For them to come out on top over some veterans, some legends in the WWE, the tag team champions, the 6-time world tag team champions, that really puts them over very, very well. The fact that they didn't even get a move in there hardly at all, and they finished them off in the middle of the ring with a splash, puts them over so well. But really, did you feel like this was a special moment? Just think about that. The Usos have been in the WWE for around 2 years now as a tag team. They've been doing very well, picking up a lot of momentum in the last few months. So when they finally won them tag team titles, it was going to be a big moment. So for it to happen on a Monday Night Raw, are you guys feeling satisfied as an Uso fan of them picking up them titles? Are you satisfied that that was a big moment for you? Do you feel like they've accomplished something by winning a tag team title belt, their first championship since being in the WWE, at a Monday Night Raw? Now, the actual show was booked very, very well, so yet again, it could quite easily get forgotten under a lot of many very good segments throughout the night. So yet again, it does get quite pushed down as one of those big moments on Raw. There were so many good moments on this week's Monday Night Raw, this could get slightly forgotten. Now, I think this was certainly a WrestleMania 30 moment. Not a Monday Night Raw moment. When them Usos picked up the titles, it's certainly their biggest moment in their career, and that all points towards a WrestleMania moment. When they were winning that, them tag team titles, it should have gone at a WrestleMania. And WrestleMania 30 is obviously the closest WrestleMania, so I think they could have stretched it out to a WrestleMania 30 moment when they finally won them tag team titles. On a Monday Night Raw, I'm not completely satisfied sat here watching Monday Night Raw on my screen that it was much of an exciting moment, especially the fact that it was a very predictable moment, a very quick match, and it's on a Monday Night Raw. Does it feel that special? I've never agreed with them changing titles on a show that isn't a pay-per-view, because people pay real money to see title changes, but we saw it for free on a Monday Night Raw. And it's their first championship. Come on, guys. I wanted this to happen on WrestleMania 30. Not a meaningless Monday Night Raw. But, really, the match itself is a lot better than what we've seen in the recent months. And their rematch, the New Age Outlaws rematch, will be tonight on Main Event. Now, Main Event is live tonight on the WWE Network, which is pretty goddamn cool. But really, you do expect the Usos to defeat the New Age Outlaws again. So, I think they've probably given the Usos the win here and the title so they can set up a feud for WrestleMania 30. They're going to get rid of the New Age Outlaws now. They're probably going to go away. They were really transitional champions to give it to another face tag team. Now, Cody Rhodes and Goldust had the championship. Fair. That's okay. They gave it to the New Age Outlaws to transition it to the Usos. So, now the New Age Outlaws are probably going to go now. I was surprised they stuck around for the extra night after Old School Raw, but yet again, 2 months later, they're still in the WWE. So, I do think after tonight, they're probably going to go and get rid of the New Age Outlaws. Really wasn't too impressed with their return. I'm glad to see them go because I don't really think they did that too well at all. Can't really remember a lot of matches I was that entertained by. But the Usos will probably set up a WrestleMania 30 match against, well, I don't really know. I can't really see one tag team going up against the Usos where you're going to believe it's going to happen at WrestleMania 30. What I'd be game for would probably be a fatal 4-way tag match, what they did at Survivor Series or TLC, something like that. I don't really think I'd be game for the Usos versus just another tag team. Wouldn't be believable, and I can definitely see the Usos walking out there as the champions yet again at WrestleMania 30. So to make it exciting, you could do a triple threat or a fatal 4-way tag match, not just a boring singles Usos and tag match. Really? It definitely looks like they are going to have enough time to set up a tag team titles match at WrestleMania 30. That's why they've given the titles now and not at WrestleMania 30. So it does kind of suggest they have bigger plans for the tag team titles at WrestleMania 30 rather than when the Usos were going to win. So it could suggest that they do have a big match for the tag team division at WrestleMania 30. So what I'm saying is, the Usos winning the tag team titles would have been a big moment at WrestleMania 30, but the fact that they've done it on a Raw does suggest that they might have another bigger moment planned for the tag team division at WrestleMania 30 rather than the Usos winning the tag team championships. But for that, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. A good match, but really on a Monday Night Raw, are you entirely satisfied? Not really. So, now we had a rematch yet again of Cesaro versus Big E. Yet again, we're having a match between the two guys who have now changed their names, Big E against Cesaro. And this match was absolutely freaking awesome yet again. Now, last week on Monday Night Raw, it was Cesaro versus Big E. Now, this was really to build the jealousy between Big E and Jack Swagger. Now, on the Sunday night, Jack Swagger got defeated by Big E in a pretty good match. The match after, Cesaro versus Big E on the Raw, or the night after, was even better. And this match was not as good because it was a lot shorter, but still had a lot of very, very good moves that we saw the week before, where it was the same match of Big E against Cesaro. So I was definitely happy, I was definitely game for another match of Big E, another round of Big E against Cesaro. But Big E, yet again, got the victory in the same circumstances. Now really, I'd love to see Big E and Cesaro get a clean finish, because the last 2 weeks, Jack Swagger has walked in the ring and hit on Big E. That wasn't worded very well. He didn't hit on Big E. He basically attacked Big E. Now, the match was looking good. There's a few good moves here or there. The Cesaro swing was put on Big E. And then, as soon as Big E had got Cesaro swinged, which was epic. I mean, Big E getting Cesaro swinged. Nothing really much better than that. But he got tossed around the ring. God, this isn't sounding good at all. Hit on and tossed. Ugh. Anyway, Big E got Cesaro swinged, and then Jack Swagger hopped in the ring again and did a Swagger bomb. Swagger bomb? Bong? Oh, Jesus. Swagger bomb on Big E. And yet again, for no reason whatsoever, Jack Swagger hops in the ring and attacks Big E. Now, I said last week, does anybody believe that somebody would do that? I mean, Jack Swagger last week just randomly walked in the ring and gave an angle lock to Big E. It just didn't look legitimate whatsoever. Who does that? Who walks in the ring and gives somebody an angle lock during their tag team partners match? It just didn't look legitimate whatsoever. But this week, they did it again. And it just looked even more stupid. I mean, Big E was on the floor, and then Jack Swagger just ran in the ring and gave a Swagger bomb. It just really does not look legit whatsoever. I mean, who does that? It just didn't look good at all. I mean, I know there are different ways you can set up a feud between Cesaro and Jack Swagger, or maybe by distraction, or just attacking him like how the Primetime Players broke up. I guess it is an original way to break them up by Jack Swagger getting jealous over Cesaro, so attacking his partners during the ring when he looks like he's getting the advantage and it looks like Cesaro is going to pick up the win. Swagger just hops in the ring and attacks his opponents. It is a unique way to build a match which we haven't seen for quite a long time, I don't think, but are you convinced that this is really what's happening in Swagger's mind? I mean, who really jumps in the ring and attacks their tag partner's opponent? It just doesn't look normal. It doesn't flow in my mind whatsoever. It just doesn't look real. It just doesn't look like a normal thing to do. But that is definitely building between a Big E and Cesaro and Swagger feud. I'm very excited for that match. I'm a big guy on amateur wrestlers, i.e. Swagger, and I'm a big guy on indie wrestlers, Cesaro. So I'm really excited about this feud. I'm definitely game for that at WrestleMania 30. But yet again, a lot of the Chicago crowds wanted to see Cesaro pick up Big E for the neutralizer, because after he does the Cesaro swing, he goes for the neutralizer. So yet again, Swagger gets himself, I said this last week on my Monday Night Raw review last week, that it gives instant heat to Swagger, because people want to see that neutralizer on Big E. But as soon as Swagger did that, Cesaro picked up Big E to give him the neutralizer. So we were all satisfied. And that was basically a statement to Swagger. You know, what you can do, I can do better. He can do the Swagger bomb. I can do the Cesaro swing. Really excited to see how this goes so far. I'm not really convinced if it's good or bad. I mean, it just looks strange. Swagger just walking in the ring and doing what he does. But it's a unique way to build it, and I'm definitely game for how they'll put on a match at WrestleMania 30. It sure will be epic. I'm excited, but really, are you convinced what Swagger's doing is correct? It's just a bit weird in my opinion. So I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. I really just want to see Big E and Cesaro go at it one-on-one and have a clean finish, because 2 out of 2 matches, these guys have been absolutely fucking awesome. Now, the next match was the Wyatts versus the Shield. Mixed opinion on this match. Yet again, a freaking awesome match. But before this match, I wasn't too convinced they could top the match they did before at Elimination Chamber. Now, a lot of matches they do have in the WWE, for example, Punk versus Lesnar. And then you had, what, I'll think of another epic match. You had Punk versus Lesnar, let's say, oh, God, I can't think of any other good matches. I mean, Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan at Royal Rumble. They were epic matches, but WWE put them to one side. They think it was a good match, it was a good feud, and it was topped off by a good match at a pay-per-view. And they leave it at that. They don't want to spoil what was a great match and what was a great feud. But for some reason, they wanted to do the Wyatt family against the Shield again. Maybe they thought they could see the potential in this feud, and they want to have one more blowout match. I mean, it was so freaking good at Elimination Chamber, they wanted to do it again. And like I said, they didn't do it between Punk and Lesnar. or Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. Wouldn't be surprised if they never go back to that again. But for some strange reason, they wanted to do the Shield versus the Wyatts again, which really is great for the Shield and the Wyatts. It proves that they do already have confidence in them that they can put on another great match and even top the match at the Chamber pay-per-view. Now, a reason why I'm not really that happy they do rematches is because usually they're not as good. You can't top a special moment like they did at Elimination Chamber. Now, Sami Zayn against Cesaro happened in NXT in the summer, and they went back to that NXT arrival last week, and it was even better. But that was after around 6 months' time. This was after a week and a day. Could they really top what they did at the Chamber pay-per-view with a much, shall I say, excited crowd to see the Wyatts versus the Shield? You can't argue the Elimination Chamber crowd was a lot more excited to see this match than the Chicago crowd. But could they top it? They came pretty goddamn close. Seth Rollins looked absolutely fantastic. He did so many great moves. Now, always when they do rematches, they seem to copy moves which got a good reaction by the crowd. So, I believe it was Luke Harper went for the superplex off the top rope, and Seth Rollins yet again landed on his feet. And now what I hate by the announcers is they pretend that it never happened. JBL's like, oh my god, he landed on his feet. Yeah, we saw that a week and a day ago. We're not that dumb. But he did the spot again, which, I mean, not really a fan of that, to be honest. I mean, we've seen it once. I mean, do it again. Pretend it didn't happen is even more of a kick in the teeth. I mean, come on, we're not that dumb. To do it again after such a short time kind of takes the awesomeness out of the first time we did it, if you know what I mean. But what else we saw was a jump onto the outside by Luke Harper. He went through the middle rope and jumped onto the outside. We saw a spear by Roman Reigns, not through the announce table, but over the announce table, which had actually been repatched up. Yes, they actually repatched the announce table during the Big E and Cesaro match, which I have never seen anything so dumb in my life. You could hear the screwdriver going through the Cesaro and Big E match of them doing it up again. Don't really know why they redid it. I mean, they didn't come back to it. The announce table just really doesn't do anything anyway. But for them to repatch it again was just pointless. But I can see why they maybe did that to do that spot where Roman Reigns speared one of the Wyatt family members over the announce table, which was an absolutely freaking awesome spot. But really, the story of this was Dean Ambrose went to tag in Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins jumped out. He jumped off the apron and walked up the ramp. And how it ended was, basically, the Wyatt family picked up the victory. Now, what I wasn't really happy about this match was that as soon as Seth Rollins walked out, and he walked out on tagging Dean Ambrose in, Dean Ambrose should have got pinned. I think that would have been the moment for them to pin Dean Ambrose, because that really would have put over, or really would have put an impact on what Seth Rollins had done. He'd cost his team the win. But they carried on the match for a good 1 or 2 minutes after, which I don't think was really the correct decision to do. Now, it did give an opportunity to put over Roman Reigns and show what he's got, because after that happened, Roman Reigns hit 2 Superman punches, and then I believe, I'm not particularly sure, I'm going to have to rewatch this on the actual WWE.com video. Who was the guy that got pinned? Hang on, guys. Also, it was Dean Ambrose was the one that got pinned. So I don't understand why they couldn't have done that spot as soon as Seth Rollins walked out. Surely that would have made Seth Rollins walking out more of a bigger issue than carrying on the match for another 1 or 2 minutes after and then pinning Dean Ambrose. It would have been much better if they did it straight away. But basically, Bray Wyatt hit the Sister Abigail and pin Dean Ambrose. Now, I definitely think Dean Ambrose is looking the weaker out of the 3 Shield members. He actually takes the pin in this match. He was definitely the one that didn't get the most moves in this match. Seth Rollins was on fire. He even walked out, so the spotlight was definitely on him. Roman Reigns hit a spear. He hit 2 Superman punches. He hit that move on the outside of the apron he does where he pounces up and hits them with his 2 legs. Dean Ambrose really didn't do anything. So it does look like they're setting up an Ambrose and Roman. I really don't know, guys, but it definitely looks like Dean Ambrose is going in as the weaker guy at WrestleMania 30. Whether they're setting up a feud between a triple threat, I don't know. It looks like it. I really hope so. But I'm also really think the Shield are the guys. I'm still excited about seeing these guys, so I'm excited about seeing them splitting up. I'm not sure, but really, all about this was storytelling and about setting up the feud between the Shield members. And really, did you expect Seth Rollins to be the guy that initiates a breakup? I said it all along, guys, didn't I? No joke. I said it in January. What was it, December? I said, don't be surprised if Seth Rollins... Actually, no. I said it the night it was my review of the Slammy Awards Raw. I said, don't be surprised, and I continue to say it, if Seth Rollins is the guy that initiates the breakup. Because you think it's going to be Ambrose or Reigns. The glue's Seth Rollins. Do you expect it to Seth Rollins? No. So that was definitely a swerve right there on Monday Night Raw for Seth Rollins to walk out on Dean Ambrose. Wow. Big swerve. Exciting. Loved it. Great storytelling. Excited to see. I'll tune in on Monday Night Raw next week to see what's the haps with the Shield and then definitely about Seth Rollins. For me, it was still an awesome match, the Wyatts versus the Shield. Yet again, the Wyatts get the win, definitely getting some momentum going into that match with Cena. The Shield will probably face each other anyway, so all these losses isn't too bad because they're probably not going to be around for much longer, and it still creates a good build-up for a breakup between the Shield because they're getting all these losses and they're all breaking down. So the win was good to give to the Wyatt family for the second time in their 2 matches because they need to build up the Wyatt family for their match against Cena and Bray Wyatt and Cena match. So great way to give them momentum. And I'm going to tune in on next week's Monday Night Raw to see what's happening with the Shield. The next match was Santino Marella and Emma defeating Fandango and Summer Rae. Now it does seem like, I'm going to rate the Wyatt family and Shield match an 8 out of 10. Santino Marella and Emma defeating Fandango and Summer Rae. Really didn't care for this match. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. They're doing exactly what they did with Xavier Woods. They brought this guy in with no promo. They literally brought Xavier Woods in, and now he's back down in NXT and doing nothing. And what they did with Xavier Woods is they kept him in a feud with Brodus Clay and R-Truth and Sweet Tea for too long. And people get bored. And they're doing exactly the same thing they're doing with Emma. With Summer Rae. Now, Emma came in with they were hinting at a Summer Rae and Emma feud far away into us imagining Emma would come in. I mean, she was in the crowd, and it was always during a Summer Rae and Fandango match, and Summer Rae would react. But around a month or 2 later, these guys are still in a feud, and the crowd was a perfect example of what they thought. No reaction, because people don't care anymore of a Summer Rae and Emma feud. Emma's defeated Summer Rae twice now. People don't care what happens between Summer Rae and Emma. People get bored. Surprisingly, people get bored of the same old shit over and over and over again. And that's exactly what they're doing with Emma and Summer Rae. And I can bet my bottom dollar that they're going to do exactly the same on Monday Night Raw. Next week, it's going to be Summer Rae or Emma in a match, or Santino and Fandango in a match. I can bet my bottom dollar they'll do exactly the same thing. And I'll come back in a month, and you guys will be surprised that Emma's back down in NXT doing what she was doing 2 months ago. Because it really seems like they've ran out of ideas for this girl already. So short in her career, in a month, she's only been playing around? Can I say that, with Summer Rae? Really going nowhere, doing nothing. The gimmick's fantastic. The gimmick's funny. Just, is she really getting momentum from Summer Rae, who really needs some momentum herself? I mean, she's the least biggest star in the Divas division because she's really not been put over by any diva at all. And this is what I'm talking about by the Divas division being so flat. There's no scope to put over divas, and Summer Rae is a pure example of that. They're trying to give the rub to Emma. They're trying to put over Emma with Summer Rae. But Summer Rae isn't over either because nobody's put her over. So what are they going to do in this Divas division? They're in a predicament where they don't have top stars to put over people like Emma or Summer Rae. So they put Emma and Summer Rae in a feud, which isn't really working out. People are getting bored. It just seems like they've ran out of ideas and they're trying to use it for as long as possible before something new comes along. But that's exactly what happened with Xavier Woods, and he's back down there in NXT. But the finish was Emma winning with the Emma lock, which is a very fantastic finish. It really fits with her gimmick. She scrambles around trying to find the head. Very funny. Good submission maneuver. Actually looks like it's painful. You have to be very flexible to hit that, to initiate that move. Good finish, but I'm getting bored of this Emma and Summer Rae feud. Didn't really care for the match, and Santina Marella and Fandango were completely pointless in this match because the finish always was going to be Summer Rae getting tapped out, Summer Rae tapping out to Emma. So I'll give that a 5 out of 10. Now, the next match was Sheamus defeating Christian. The crowd didn't care for this. I didn't care for this. It looks like they're setting up a WrestleMania 30 match between Sheamus against Christian. But really, do we care for that? No. The match last week, not this week on Friday Night SmackDown. The Friday Night SmackDown before Elimination Chamber was Sheamus against Christian. And I said that match was average. It was overrated. They did that match again on Monday Night Raw last week. Yet again, slightly better, but still quite boring. Had a good pay-per-view ending with Sheamus hitting the bro kick off the top rope. But yet again, the match was boring. And what I'm saying is, they regurgitate so much stuff. Yet again, a week later, we get the third match between Sheamus and Christian. And the match, yet again, is boring. The only good thing about the ending was Sheamus hit a bro kick on the apron to Christian and picked up the victory. Apart from that, yet again, the match was boring. The crowd didn't like it. They booed Sheamus because he's the same old shit. I mean, they brought this guy back at the Royal Rumble. The worst way to bring somebody back. If they wanted to bring him back heel, they wouldn't have done it in the Royal Rumble because anybody gets a pop in the Royal Rumble. So for me, everybody knows that Sheamus needs to turn heel. He's the same boring guy we've seen for the last 2 years. Nobody cares about Sheamus. And also, Christian hasn't done anything since turning heel. Has he? The day he turned heel, he lost to Daniel Bryan. The Friday Night SmackDown after he turned heel, he lost to Sheamus. The Elimination Chamber, he had a good run in, but of course he lost. Last week, he lost to Sheamus again, and on this week, he lost to Sheamus again. So, can we really get behind Christian when he's lost every match since he's turned his gimmick? Can we really believe this guy is going to go anywhere with his new gimmick or his new heel turn since he's lost, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches out of 5 since he's turned heel? Hell no. Also, Sheamus. He's still boring. Can we get behind these guys in a match? No, and it doesn't look like they're even setting up a WrestleMania 30 match between these guys, even though nobody cared in Chicago about this match. The crowd was dead. They were chanting CM Punk, boring, end this match the whole way through the match. They didn't care. The match, they don't have decent chemistry anyway. So they're going to really set up a WrestleMania 30 match between these guys? I really hope not, because I don't care. But the ending was another pay-per-view worthy ending. Sheamus hitting a bro kick on the outside of the apron. Pretty cool ending. We haven't seen that before, but really needed something to excite the match. And it still wasn't exciting after it ended. Hated this match, hate the feud, not excited for what they do with this feud. Really hope they don't carry it over to WrestleMania, because we've already seen what these guys can do. We've seen them have 3 matches. It's not been exciting whatsoever. Can they really bring anything out of the bag for WrestleMania when it wasn't exciting in the first place? So I'll give that a 6. Actually, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. It was even worse than Emma and bloody Summer Rae. The next match was the Bella Twins defeating Alicia Fox and Oksana. Meaningless whatsoever. Just CM Punk chants the whole way through. Well, the whole way through the night, but especially through this match. Nobody cares. Meaningless. The Divas division is dead. But it ended with one of the Bella Twins hitting their rack finisher where they get them up on the, it's called the Nikki Rack Attack, and it's called like a torture rack with a backbreaker. Very cool finisher, but really, it's a Divas match, another boring. They seem to do these tag matches with Divas, which nobody cares for. They're just a piss break, which just doesn't mean anything. Just put a few Divas in a match and just go out there just to put a Divas match on a Monday Night Raw. Meaningless. Talked about it for way too long already. Don't care. The next bit was probably my favourite part of Monday Night Raw. The crowd absolutely ate this segment up. Daniel Bryan called out Triple H for a match at WrestleMania 30. Every time Stephanie McMahon or Triple H talked, they booed. Every time Daniel Bryan talked, they were quiet and listened and yes chanted. It was awesome. Basically, what did he say? Daniel Bryan still hasn't got his yes from Triple H. It's certainly not for a lack of trying though. Less than an hour before his planned battle with Batista, the submission expert Daniel Bryan took to the ring and vowed to hijack Raw until the King of Kings accepted his WrestleMania 30 challenge. Now, that really didn't end like that. Really, what happened was we just got what we've really seen for the last few months. It was really what Triple H has been saying in the last few months, just all built into one promo. So really, it wasn't that exciting. The only exciting thing was the crowd reaction and what Daniel Bryan was saying. What Stephanie McMahon and Triple H were saying was exactly what they've said in their promos since summer. Really nothing new here whatsoever. Surprisingly, if you actually listen to it, nothing new whatsoever. We've heard this all before. But we all know this is a slow burner and Daniel Bryan will get his opportunity. So, for me watching this at home, I fucking hate Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. I hate these guys and girls with a passion. I tweeted it out. I was sat here watching it, seriously hating Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. These guys are the shit. These guys are the best heels in the company. Wow, I've never hated somebody in the WWE as much as I was sat here hating Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Talking about Daniel Bryan, how they did. I was literally sat here hating them. And I've never felt like that before about somebody in the WWE. Actually hating them. Even though I know it's all a work. Literally hating them. I've never felt like this before. It was special. Very well done to Stephanie McMahon and Triple H to get that reaction from me. I really feel like that. I'm really engaged with the WWE, but I definitely felt like that tonight on Monday Night Raw. But basically, they ordered Daniel Bryan out of the ring. He said he wasn't going to leave until he got a yes from Triple H. But really, anything less than Daniel Bryan winning the championship at WrestleMania 30 is going to be a disappointment. And the funny thing through this segment was, Daniel Bryan said, "You're scared, aren't you?" And the crowd was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And they booed Triple H when he said he didn't want to have the match. And then when Daniel Bryan was like, "Face me at WrestleMania 30, the crowd was like, "No, no, no," because we don't want to see that. Surprisingly, we don't want to see that. We want to see Daniel Bryan win the championship. So I really hope this feud is short-term rather than long-term at WrestleMania 30. So, hopefully it isn't. I mean, considering Punk didn't come back tonight on Raw, it does look like there is a spot for Bryan in the Triple Threat match. But they're going to run out of time, so hopefully it happens next week on Raw. I thought it could be the time to happen on Raw tonight, considering it is in Chicago, a big wrestling town, but it didn't. There were plans, they were going to change that WrestleMania main event, considering it's two heels, it's not really the hero versus villain storytelling that kids want to hear. So there's definitely a spot for a face to fit in there. Whether it's Punk or Bryan, certainly looks like it's going to be Bryan from this moment in time, considering Punk is nowhere. Where is he? So it doesn't look like there is a spot for Bryan. Wonder if how they're going to do that. Is it just going to be a short-term Triple H feud to give him some momentum going into WrestleMania 30? That would be a good way to get ratings by having Triple H and Daniel Bryan going one-on-one the Raw before Mania, maybe? Something like that. That would be fantastic. All that they could do is, if Triple H is defeated by Bryan at WrestleMania, he gets put in that main event against Batista and Randy Orton. Whatever way, anything less than Daniel Bryan winning the championship at WrestleMania 30 will be a disappointment. Now, this segment was great. I'll give it 8 out of 10. It ended with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H saying that this is their ring. Everything around you is ours. They ordered Daniel Bryan out the ring and said, "Get out. We don't want you, security." But they'd already booked him in a match later in the night. It really didn't make sense for them to order him out the ring and kind of get him out the arena, even though they'd booked him in they'd booked him in a match later on in the show. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, Ziggler versus Del Rio was just an opportunity to bring out what's he called? Guest star Aaron Paul, who is in the Need for Speed, and he's also in Breaking Bad. Now, really, they came out in a car, Aaron Paul driving one of presumably a Need for Speed car, which will be featured in the in the movie. And Dolph Ziggler came out with him. It was pretty cool. I was marking out. Now, I know who Aaron Paul is, not really, but I know who he is. I know people watch Breaking Bad, and I know what Need for Speed is. It's a new movie coming out over the game. The video game, but I was marking out because it was a pretty cool moment. I mean, Ziggler comes out in a car with Aaron Paul driving. I don't even know who this guy is, but he's getting a cool reaction from the crowd. He generally looks like somebody who's dreamt about this his whole life. It looked cool, okay? He was going, yay! It looked cool. It's what I'd do if I was on Raw, so it was a cool moment. And basically, they got this guy on commentary. I mean, when they brought out Betty White a few weeks ago on Raw, the only thing she did was do a lame-ass promo with Big Show, who had no relevance whatsoever, and that segment didn't mean anything. They bring stars on once in a while, and they don't really do anything. But what happened here was they actually got Aaron Paul on commentary. Yes, they got him on commentary, and he did a very good job. Now, this was a good opportunity to sell the Need for Speed movie, which obviously was the real reason why they got Aaron Paul on. Also brings in ratings, of course, of fans who might watch WWE Raw this week because they're Aaron Paul's on. Well, I want to watch it because Aaron Paul's on, so it gets more ratings. But really, it was to sell the movie. We got a trailer, of course, as well. But I've never seen them get a guest star on and do guest commentary. So a very unique way to do that, a very cool way. And he actually fitted quite well on the commentary. He was actually groaning like, ugh, when a move was hit, which was kind of over the top. But it was kind of nice that somebody on commentary is actually watching the match. Too many times this year, JBL has gone off track, Lawler's gone off track, Cole's just laughing his head off. At least he was actually engaging with the match. But really, too many times guest stars are on the show and they don't do anything. But Aaron Paul distracted Del Rio and it allowed Ziggler to hit the zigzag and get the win. So anything less than doing this would have been a disappointment because it would have gotten eaten up by the Chicago crowd. Now, if Aaron Paul came out to do a promo, he would have got booed. Now, they know Ziggler's over in Chicago. They even turned this guy face in Chicago at Payback last year. They know Ziggler gets a good reaction from Chicago. So bringing Aaron Paul out with Ziggler really makes sure there's no chance in hell he's going to get booed. And making him not go on commentary could have just made him get CM Punk chance or get booed because it would have been a waste of time. And it would have been basically like saying, we want Punk and we get Aaron Paul. So if they had Aaron Paul come out on a microphone and just do a promo and advertise it, it would have got booed to hell. But having him doing on commentary was cool because it meant the fans didn't boo him and people listened to him at home. But having him actually win the match for Ziggler made him look quite relevant as well and would have certainly sold the show, sold the movie, and a lot of people might be interested in it even more, considering he was a little bit more relevant than a lot of stars that go on Raw. But for me, I'll give that a 6 out of 10. The match really didn't mean anything. Big E versus Jack Swagger. Yeah, Big E had another match which just put him over quite well. I mean, this guy has 2 matches on Raw. They do this with Bryan to really put him over and make him look like a warrior. So they did this with Big E, booked him in a second match against Swagger. And as soon as the bell went, Cesaro went in the ring and gave a really clean-looking neutralizer to Big E. It was a very, very good neutralizer he gave to Big E. I mean, it wasn't just a neutralizer. He, full-on, gave him a neutralizer. Very, very good neutralizer. Very good hang time. And really just looked like a perfect neutralizer. Like, it looks like I'm getting a boner over a neutralizer. But that was a good freaking neutralizer by Cesaro. And that's really, after that, that obviously gave Big E another win on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, he's really getting the wins here. He's the IC champion, but is getting cheap wins. Does that really make sense? Is that really how you should be putting over a champion? Not really. I think they should start giving this guy some clean wins. Instead of, in the last 2 weeks, he's really just been getting, you know, pointless, easy disqualification wins over Swagger and Cesaro. He's your champion. He should be looking strong, and he really hasn't looked strong in the last few months. But it ended with Cesaro teasing at a swing on Jack Swagger. The crowd wanted it, Seb Coulter didn't want it, but it definitely teases at a breakup between Swagger and Cesaro. I'm very excited to see what they do. Looks like maybe next week they will go for the full weight and give it an actual swing to Swagger. I'm excited, wondering how they're going to go from this. But he did do the swing, he teased at it, but it could happen. But from this, I definitely feel like they're turning Cesaro face. He got a huge face reaction. Seb Coulter didn't want the swing to happen. He said no, he didn't do it. He got a lot of heat and he got a lot of heel. It looked like a heel. He looked like a heel, obviously, but Swagger also got a lot of heat as well. It doesn't look like Swagger's going to be the heel and Cesaro the face in this feud. That's all I got from that segment. But really, Big E Langston getting another disqualification win. I wish they'd use this guy more. The next segment was John Cena calling out the Wyatt family. Yes, he called out the Wyatt family, but the only thing I didn't like about this promo was he looked all cheery. He was laughing at the fact that he got beat up by the Wyatt family last week. He was laughing at the Chicago crowd that they cheer him. He looked happy that he was out there. He didn't look sad whatsoever that he had a broken leg. So he just didn't sell the fact that the Wyatt family had hurt him last week on Monday Night Raw. It just didn't look like he was selling the injury whatsoever. They said that he refused refused an MRI scan last week on Raw, and then this week on Raw, they could easily have just not had Cena on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Because he didn't do anything. He didn't have a fight. He didn't have a segment with the Wyatt family. He didn't have a brawl. He basically just did this promo where he looked cheery and was talking about how the Wyatt family have to come through him to prove they are the next in the business. But he looked happy. He's supposed to be selling the Wyatt family. We're supposed to believe that the Wyatt family are winning at WrestleMania 30. And this guy is just looking like the attack had no effect on him whatsoever. After that, the Wyatt family cut a promo on him, really building up the feud between him and Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30. Really would have liked to see an in-ring promo. I mean, I'm getting a bit bored of these promos by Bray Wyatt. Yes, they are good, but there's only so many promos I can sit through and really listen to. They are a bit much at times, and really, I don't know, I would have liked to see them beat up Cena yet again. Would have got a funny reaction from Chicago, but really, the biggest disappointment from this was Cena just didn't sell the injury whatsoever. They could have easily just not booked Cena on the show because he really didn't do anything. They could have just got the Wyatt family to do a promo. Cena's involvement in this segment really wasn't anything whatsoever. They could quite easily have just had Cena not on the show. So I'll give that a 5 out of 10. And finally, the last match was Daniel Bryan defeating Batista via disqualification. Now, Batista has not impressed me whatsoever since coming back. They turned him heel on Friday Night SmackDown, and ever since he's come back, every single match he has had has not entertained me whatsoever. And I thought Daniel Bryan would have been the one to bring out the best of Dave Batista. Yet again, no he didn't. It wasn't entertaining yet again, Batista has another boring match. No, I was expecting Daniel Bryan maybe to bring out the best of Batista. Maybe he could have an exciting match for once. But no, the crowd was chanting boring. There was Boo-tista chants. There was Bore-tista signs in the crowd. People didn't care for this match yet again whatsoever. I thought it would get booed a bit more. People said they were going to turn their backs. They didn't, but I was expecting a lot more from this match. Now, Daniel Bryan is used to having 30-minute main events against Cena, against Orton, against Cesaro, people like that on a Monday Night Raw main event. The Wyatt family example, I think he had a gauntlet to end the year in 2013 for what, a good 45 minutes? But this match was about 5 minutes, so not really a great main event, really. It sucked, wasn't entertaining whatsoever, and had a poor finish. Daniel Bryan was going for the headbutt, the Authority came out, distracting him. And then it looked like Daniel Bryan was going to pick up the win by giving the knee to Dave Batista. Orton actually came out before the start of the match to just sit there, which really just looked stupid as well. And then Orton attacked Daniel Bryan when he was looking like he was going to pick up the win on Batista, and then Orton attacked Batista. So it does look like this will give an excuse to Daniel Bryan to maybe get in the triple threat match at WrestleMania 30 because he was closing in on the victory. You could have easily given the win to Daniel Bryan here, but what they want to do is a slow burn for Daniel Bryan. Yes. Yet again, we get a screwy finish. He even complained about it in his promo earlier in the night about the screwy finishes. Very kayfabe of Daniel Bryan. Breaking character there, talking about the screwy finishes. But, yet again, yes. Kane distracts Daniel Bryan. And, what happens again? Exactly what happened at the Chamber. Exactly what happens for the last few weeks. I'm watching it again. It's just not pleasing whatsoever. I can't even remember what happens here. Pretty much, they just attack Daniel Bryan and he loses via disqualification after Randy Orton attacked him. So Randy Orton attacks Daniel Bryan. He loses by disqualification. Yet again, somebody get involved and he doesn't get the win. If he won Batista, he would be the #1 contender. So yet again, he gets screwed. How many more times can I sit through Daniel Bryan getting screwed after screwed after screwed? Gives instant heat to them, but we're pissed off. We don't want to see any more of this. Daniel Bryan getting screwed. What do you guys think? It definitely does suggest that they may add him to the triple threat match at WrestleMania 30 next week. I definitely hope so. But what do you guys think of this Monday Night Raw? It ended with Triple H, Kane, and Stephanie McMahon standing tall over Daniel Bryan after Triple H gave a pedigree to Daniel Bryan. Ugh. I hope they don't do this match at WrestleMania 30 between Triple H and Daniel Bryan because I just don't want to see that. I want to see Daniel Bryan as the champion. But yet again, Bryan gets screwed out of a #1 contendership or title match yet again. Surely if he was going to win over Batista here, he would have been the #1 contender. Didn't happen. Well, the Raw itself was pretty good. I think it got a bit lame after the first hour. I think they definitely put all their eggs in their first half an hour's basket. If you can understand what I'm saying. I think I'm just skipping through here, and I think around the time that the Wyatt family and the Shield had their match, it just went downhill massively. I think after that match ended, you had the Emma match, and then you had Sheamus and Christian, which was boring, and then the Divas match. It just got shit. Let's be honest, it just got boring after that. So really, what do you guys think of Monday Night Raw? I'll give it a 7, or I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a very good show for the first, hour and a half. It did definitely had some very, very good parts, especially at the start. Very, very good. What did you guys think? Hope you have, in fact, enjoyed the video. Take care. 7 out of 10. Share your comments. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. Definitely some good moments on this Monday Night Raw, guys. My favourite moment was the Brock Lesnar segment. It just wasn't. And of course, there was some good build for Cesaro and Swagger, of course. Don't forget that. A nice promo by Daniel Bryan. Cena calling out the Wyatt family was quite disappointing. And ending with Daniel Bryan yet again getting screwed out of a match. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching. Take care. Spite your hair. 7 out of 10 for this week. Chicago, you didn't hijack it. Sorry.